Yo, this is DD2 guy here. I just want to show you guys how to handle mastery. So I'm not actually going to take on any floor, just tell you guys how to build for it. So I have actually completed all of my mastery. So if you check it out, all of my mastery has been completed. From my view, I would say that you can pretty much do all of the maps solo with the right build, but like 3 of them you would probably need help with, maybe from another player, just to give some DPS on the lane, especially with that build fast and build diverse, that kind of stuff. So I'm just going to show you guys how to take on mastery. So for a beginner's build is, let's just say you have the conditions of towers. So if you need to build some towers, what you can do is just go with the petrify combo, that is poison and earth. So just dumping a poison that tower, and let's just get my, there we go, and an earth shatter tower. So this kind of build here will actually petrify and stun your enemies, which is pretty good. So this combo here is quite good. The disadvantage here is, of course, throwers and enemies diving into your defenses. So what you can do is you can also use a Striker Tower for the flyers. That's also quite good. And obviously the new thing is for archers. So archers are good. This is the build I use. What you can do is just dump some archers. That will certainly help. That's for towers. That's how you would take it on from a tower perspective. Just so you guys see the build that I use on my poison dart tower, this is the build I use, and on my earth shatter tower, let's see if I can find it, this is the build here I use. You can actually add a destruction here. I'm not sure where my destruction is, but yeah, you can add a destruction there. And that is pretty much the build to take on some towers, some tower only. That works quite well. With the throwers, you just have to be careful with your positioning. You need to avoid those throwers being on the way off their path. If you do that, then you'll be sorted. So the next thing you want to do is, what if you just want to use the weapon manufacturer? That is also super great. Very useful, very quick. The reason why this is awesome is if you need to take on a build fast, you can just spam them. Just immediately just spam them. And you sort it. Just spam them all over. And it takes a few seconds to set up. You don't have to set them up properly when you're rushing through, just spam them all over. Yeah. And you'll be sorted. So the build I use for the weapon manufacturer really depends. So this is the build I'm using. You can use a water elemental. You can use a destruction for more power. This is overcapped. So the raid share is overcapped. What that means is that during mastery, I forgot to mention the basics. When you're taking on mastery, your ancient power is capped and your ascension is capped. What that means is all the stuff here is actually no longer available, and all of your powers. That's really not gonna help you out. So what you can do is overcap your stuff. So when I say overcap, I mean use a raid mod everywhere and use a raid shard. So in this build here, the raid 10 and the defense raid is going to give you a good rate. So that's something you want to target. Just get your attack rate as high as you can because of the limits. So if you're taking on Chaos 1, this relic will go all the way down. All of your relics and your gear will go all the way down to Chaos 1. So brace yourself for that. So you just need to have a good build. So yeah, just have a good build here. Use an automation if you are dealing with cyborgs. You definitely need an automation if you're dealing with cyborgs. What you can also do is just use a reflect beam up front. If you're dealing with lots of cyborgs, use 3 reflect beams. Yeah, and that's what you want to do to get rid of those cyborgs. To get automation, you need to do your prime. I think it's prime 5, or you can do it and get it from mastery. So those are the 2 ways to get the automation chart. they'll stop the cyborgs from disable your defenses. So it's important that you get some automation if you want to take on those cyborgs properly, and if you want to use auras, traps, nodes, that kind of stuff. But otherwise, the Earth Shatter and Poison Dart Tower will get you quite far. So the two builds are using this weapon manufacturer. So another thing you want to use is, because I use poison, just to get a petrify, what I can do also is put a proton beam. If I just put a proton beam with earth, they'll get petrified. And that is pretty much how you can take it on with just a weapon manufacturer. This can also target flyers. So that is how you would handle a node kind of build. The next thing is, how do you manage just with auras? So if you just need it, if you only have auras available, you can just spam auras. Just spam them out. Use a destructive pylon on your lightning aura. If you can't use a reflect beam for cyborgs, put a automation on your flame aura. You can also use a buff beam. That's also quite nice to slow the enemies and boost it up. That is one build. And another build, let's see, what other lanes do you have? Oh yes, so you get a pretty difficult lane, which is actually not being able to build towers, not being able to build node, and not being able to build auras. So how do you take that one on? That one just goes back to the trees. So trees are solid. This is the build here for trees. To be able to take that on, spam trees. Just spam trees all over. You could also use this for Chaos 8 in theory. I have tried it once, it seems to be okay. So just spam them all over. By the way, this is with the nerf. It still does okay amount of damage. So this is 24 million health. And this is the build I use. So yeah, it's up to you. Try that out. The only difficulty is with some bosses, like 2 different bosses you may have some trouble with. Otherwise they are solid. The flyers are a bit of a problem, so just be ready to take on some flyers. So yeah, when you can't build any of those defenses, you can also use traps. So bear in mind that when they say no towers, no auras and no nodes, you can go with traps. So you can just go and put a whole bunch of explosive traps at the start. You could probably also use the geyser trap. So it's up to you. Just spam some traps, get that done, and you'll be okay. What other lanes? So if you're going for a lane build that requires diversity, be prepared to have many different builds. So I showed you a few now. So like this is 3 defenses. This here will help with flyers. That's already 4. You need to have many characters to be able to build properly. So like I'll also use maybe a blaze balloon, maybe an explosive trap, also a geyser trap. That'll also be quite good. That's just for traps. The next thing you want to do is putting the weapon manufacturer. So as I showed you before, put a reflect beam, put a buff beam, and put a weapon manufacturer and proton, and you'll be sorted for those 4 different kinds. And yeah, the rest is towers. So towers, there are lots of different defenses. There's also bees. Bees are also quite good. So it really depends on you what kind of defenses you want to use. As I said, mastery is quite fun for me. I enjoyed it. I wouldn't do it again. It's just about thinking about how you want to plan your defenses. The number one thing is making sure you try to get your speed cap as high as you can, because mastery is going to want to cap that speed cap. So just overcapping it as much as you can. So my flame aura has a rate. I would probably just take out my destruction and dump in an attack rate mod. So that will increase the attack rate by a reasonable amount to be able to take on that mastery. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it from what I wanted to show you guys for a crash course on mastery. So there are lots of different builds you can use: archers, ramsters, bees, lots of good defenses. It's really up to you to decide what you want to use. Just make sure you just get some kind of stun in, whether that's poison and earth to petrify the enemies, or whether that's water and storm to electrocute them. Yeah, just get some crowd control and that'll help you deal with all of the lanes. Yeah, that is it. What you get from completing, well, almost all of your primes is this here, that creepy looking face. That is pretty much what you get. And just a heads up, once you get that head, so once you reach, let's check how many stars. Once you reach 735 stars, when you get that, don't do any more maps. You can call it quits from there, because if you complete all of your maps, you get nothing. There aren't any rewards from getting from completing all of your mastery. So after getting that special reward, if you push further, you won't get any reward. So just bear that in mind. After you get that that nice cosmetic, it's all over. If you do more, if you complete everything, there's no other rewards. But the rewards are nice. You get some hyper shards overall from all of the mastery. So yeah, that is me. That's pretty much a crash course on mastery. If you guys have any specific mastery maps that you have a problem with, let me know and I can show you guys how to take them out on. Yeah, that's me, DD2 guy out.